I think we're live now. Welcome everybody. No, we're not live. Oh no. Okay, we're not live. Ah. Okay. Okay, we're live now, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, very warm welcome, Agnieszka Polska, to our last part of the double feature special tonight. And welcome to everyone who's listening on Zoom and on Facebook and on YouTube. Maybe just like a short note on the technical part of things. Agnieszka and I will be talking for about 30 minutes. And after that, you can join us in the Zoom webinar if you have any questions, and you can write them in the chat on Zoom, or you can also ask them live on Zoom. And this will be a more intimate space, which will not be broadcast live. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, before we start, I would just like to give a brief introduction to you. You're a visual artist who often works with computer-generated media, but not only, and who creates audiovisual essays and video installations. And your work has been shown worldwide, and you've also been shown twice, actually. In 2015, you were a guest at our double feature program, and in 2017, you were part of the group exhibition Peace. And we will talk about your recent work, The Happiest Thought, tonight, which is from last year, and which was commissioned by the Berliner Festspiele for a very special place, the planetarium in Hamburg. And this piece kind of takes us back to a prehistoric world, to the Permian era or the Permian period, which was 250 million years ago, and which ended in a mass extinction event that I don't know if that is common knowledge, but I personally, I've never heard of it before. And I was wondering how you came across this event and what fascinated you about it.
So basically the Permian Triassic extinction event happened, as you said, 250 million years ago, and it was the biggest mass extinction in the history of the Earth. And basically, what is interesting to us is that the new findings of the scientists lead to the conclusion that it happened due to the burning of the fossil fuels. And basically, what happened was that in the territory of the current Siberia, it was, of course, the time when there was only one big continent, Pangaea, and one great ocean, Pantalassa. So on the territory of current Siberia, there was an increased volcanic activity, which led to burning of the coal that was already stored in the crust of the Earth, which led to large emissions of sulfur to the atmosphere, and of course the increase of the temperatures on Earth. This led to like a great extinction of creatures and organisms living on the land, and to the acidic rains that led to the acidification of the oceans, which also led to another extinction of animals and plants living in the ocean. And in turn, there were created clusters of bacteria that produce lots of methane, which led to basically annihilation of around 90% of the species that were living on Earth at that time. And what is interesting for us is that basically the knowledge of how these events happened leads to a conclusion that climate change is working on a basis of a positive feedback loop. So there is a certain acceleration to the process, and there is a certain threshold which, when we pass it, when the system passes this certain threshold, it cannot go back to the equilibrium. And I think that the notion of acceleration is very important for this piece. It basically starts with the like a popular reading of the realization that Albert Einstein had.
The opening sequence we see, right, when the objects are floating in space. And
this is also where I got the title from. Basically, Einstein called it his happiest thought, and this realization was based on his watching of the workman working on the rooftop of a construction site, where he got an idea that basically the gravitational field has relative existence. So when the workman falls, if he falls together with his toolbox, he doesn't know that he's in the state of a fall. The system creates a relative system where basically only the crash to the ground means for the workman that he was in a state of fall, not in a state of just floating or resting.
Like we don't really have really have a point of reference of where we are standing right now in the changes. Maybe that nature is
and of course, and of course this this notion of acceleration and of a fall that cannot be perceived by the one that is inside of the whole system that is falling is somehow relevant to what is happening at the moment.
I'm also interested in like this relation of scale, or like this relativity of scale and time, because I mean it's an event that is almost unimaginably far away, and yet it has such a close relation to like our contemporary world, and also the scale is kind of like hard to grasp. And I was wondering if you can talk a bit about these ideas of like relativity of time and scale in your work, because also in previous works, I think you you kind of were looking at a sort of maybe extraterrestrial perspective, like not in a sense of extraterrestrial life, but as a like finding a non-human perspective on things, or finding a way of trying to understand ourselves from the outside.
I mean, I think that this is like also this understanding of the scale, and this shifts through the scale. The shifts of perspective through different scales are also very, very much related to this idea of relativism, and basically, there always needs to be a point of reference in order to grasp the process, and I think that in this work the point of reference is the fear of death, and in general death. So actually, when I started to work on this piece, I especially wanted to make the work about death understood as like an ultimate foundation of empathy as well. And Yeah.
And you take us on this kind of on this journey through this biosphere actually before it becomes extinct. And what was your writing process like, and maybe in general, because a lot of your works rely on language, like what importance does like actually writing, putting your thought into text hold for your work?
Well, I mean, writing is very important for my work. I think that basically all my works start as a poem, and or as a poetic essay, as it was in this case, and I think that like I definitely also see the poetry as a certain tool to deal with like these problems related to acceleration, and I think that like I could use here a reference of Franco before Berardi, who wrote that poetry is a way to find peace with the acceleration through the process of rhythm, and which he relates to the processes of breathing. So poetry is a way to find a way out of the contemporary suffocation that we all experience. And to me, language is this poetic language that I'm using serves as a tool to do exactly this.
And I mean, of course, you bring it together with really complex visual and like an audio or like a soundscape. And maybe you can tell us a bit more about the visual language you employed in this film. And
yeah, so I like in general, this work consists of like a few layers, and maybe I need to actually start not from the visual layer, but from the layer of the space, because I feel that this work consists of 4 different layers, and the first layer is text, which could function on its own, I think. The second layer is sound, and also this work was presented in one case just as a sound installation, so I think that it can also work without the visuals. The fourth layer is are the visuals, and the last layer is space. And in the case of this work, as you mentioned before, it was meant to be presented in an environment of a planetarium or like specially built dome, and like you have to imagine that this environment allows us to actually affect directly the sense of balance in the body of the viewer. So there is like another tool to affect the body of the viewer. It is a very interesting environment because it is basically a VR environment, but unlike the goggles, like VR goggles, which I think that very often serve more like some sort of a like technically advanced blindfold. The audience is sharing the experience. So basically, you have a big group of people who can share the same VR experience, and there are and this like getting back to your question, the visuals are very much related to this environment of the dome. I wanted to have them as simple as possible, and also I deliberately used this sort of movements like for example this tunneling movement, or I don't know, like movement of objects that serves as like triggers that disorient the body of the viewer. And another thing about the simplicity of the objects and so of the visual materials is that I kind of deliberately wanted to just to trigger the imagination of the viewer to respond to this like very detailed text about the fauna and flora of the Permian time. And I was basically assuming that that the imagination will work better than any visuals that I actually create that would be like more realistic. So actually, you could say that this imagination is like the fifth layer of the film.
I think that works really well in the film, but especially, I mean, combined with the music and the songs, which of course give like everything a very emotional touch to it. And yeah, what were your thoughts on like the songs that the narrator sings to us, and also the more orchestral music that we hear?
Yeah, so the narrator is the narrator that I invited to the project is Gia Wyatt. He's American artist based in Europe, who is a really amazing musician and performer. He has an amazing range of voice, and it was really great to work with him on this. And as with many other realizations of mine, I use deliberately some stock music, which I mean, not only stock music, it's also like partly composed by myself and the sound editor, the sound designer of the film. These tunes can be characterized as very monumental, very emotional, sometimes a bit cheesy, and this also serves a certain purpose in this film. I like to reference some pop cultural memories of the viewers, so that the piece can be even more immersive through these references to the tunes that viewers seem to be recognizing. And this is of course like related to some film music and this kind of media.
You've also you've referred to the work as a hypnotic seance in a way. In the way, I mean, the narrator actually addresses us directly, and he's telling us to relax and kind of sink into the space, and the music and the sound and also the visuals. Everything comes together in a way to create this very immersive effect. But also at the same time, you have this kind of disruption in a way, or this dissociation maybe, which was something that we were talking about earlier with Andrew Norman Wilson in the Q&A, like creating a kind of tension between the work luring us in, but also like always interrupting this process, or
yeah. I mean, it is also, this is why I was like very interested in what Andrew was talking about in the context of dissociation, while showing us a film that was that had like very immersive character. I think that like usually we understand these two notions as opposite notions, like immersiveness and dissociation, or like maybe in the context of my work, I would rather use the words alienation. And I think that for me, it is very interesting to build an environment that would use all the tools that are basically accessible to an artist through the popular culture and popular media, which can be characterized as persuasive or seductive. But at the same time, I try to introduce certain elements that would work as like this alienating elements, so that the viewer is basically there is a so that there is a certain rupture in the narration, in the narrative, and the viewer is just constantly like an object of this immersive flow, but at the same time every now and then there are elements that are just taking them out of this state of the rest.
Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to bring this together, like not doing that as a purpose in itself, but bringing that together with something as political or something as abstract as climate change as well, like having this very personal, private effect. And yeah, do you see this as a tool to kind of like create new experiences or like new perspectives on social issues, for example, or political issues?
I think that's well, like definitely I'm using like a very affective media in my work, and I try to like put the viewer into certain emotional states, and I think that I basically think that emotions are political, and I think that maybe based on like things like Sarah Ahmed's theory of political affectivity, where she treats the emotions as basically circulating and gaining a certain capital. And also the concept of premediation, where which basically means like premediation is like a collective desire to act, which already constitutes a sort of action, which means that even though my work is obviously not like directly political, I hope that it can create an environment for a possible action through affecting the emotions of the viewer.
I mean, but that also comes like a kind of like a certain responsibility in a way, I guess, like how you choose to use your art, maybe if you see it like as a premediation for like creating spaces for different kinds of actions and thought and speech. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is. Yeah, of course. Like there is a great responsibility that comes with basically using the persuasive technologies, or like all the stimuli that can affect the viewer in a certain persuasive way. And I am still kind of thinking what should be my position on this. I don't think that artists should refrain from using these persuasive technologies, because I feel like this is the only way to compete with already existing media. But at the same time, of course, in order to do it in an ethical way, you have to be very thoughtful. And I think that basically in the 80s, when the persuasive technologies started to be more analyzed and developed, there was a certain code of like an ethical code established. And basically the main idea of this ethical code was that you shouldn't persuade someone to do something that they wouldn't do. So basically, this old rule is that one could persuade the audience only to something that the audience is already like ready to be persuaded to.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, the emotions you create in the piece are very like maybe not what you would expect from like someone using these tools in a political or in a like mass media sense, because it's not about like hate, for example, but it's more like about perceiving beauty and also melancholia and fear of death. And I think that's also, I mean, that brings another critical level into using these kind of tools.
Yeah. But of course, like creating like a loving and peaceful environment in a persuasive way can be also unethical if we think of basically kind of numbing the audience. So it's a like a very complex question, and yeah, I think that there is there are a lot of contemporary techniques used by the some Western coaches and I don't know, like lots of techniques that actually serve as some sort of a numbing tool for the people to
yeah, I mean,
just focus on their well-being, and this is definitely not what I would like to do with my work.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the alienation aspect also comes in a way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely when I think of like these meditation videos and also this internet phenomenon, ASMR, which is like these really ambient kind of sounds, become like a kind of a way of relaxing yourself to optimize yourself in a way. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like there is nothing wrong with ASMR or with meditation videos, and of course there is nothing wrong with the meditation, but I think that there is a certain point when it serves only as like basically an enrichment of an individual, and then it serves like a wrong purpose.
Yeah. Before we get too deep into this, like our time is actually kind of coming to an end, but I do have a last question for you, which revolves around the work that you showed here at Double Feature in 2015, Future Days, and I was wondering where you see like continuities to this work, but also maybe shifts, and what you think of the way you've taken since then.
Yeah, so basically, as I told you last time when we spoke, this was a work that actually marked a very big shift in my practice. I created this work, which I will just shortly talk about it. It's a film that presents a group of artists, a group of deceased artists that are in heaven for the artists, and they basically they have a first chance, like artists from different backgrounds have a first chance to talk, to discuss some like of their philosophical views, and but at the same time there is this environment is extremely melancholic, even though it's very beautiful, because basically they're deprived of any possibility of action and interaction with the society. So after I made this film, I decided that I don't want to do works related to art history anymore. Which was actually like I did lots of works related to art history in the past, so it was like a big shift for me. I thought that these works were a bit elitistic in terms of like lots of insight, like arts history inside jokes included, and references to certain figures that wouldn't be known to like large audiences, and I kind of felt that this work is that these problems are not so relevant, and but there is another thing. I am still very much interested in the notion of responsibility of an artist, but without this historical perspective. I like art historical perspective.
Yeah, but I think that the interest in history, in a way, kind of pervades in your work. Maybe like if I think of the Demon's Brain, for example, but which is a very like maybe a take on history that is more related to our contemporary moment in a way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not that I decided to like not to work with history. It is still one of my main fields of interest. So, like the best example is the Demon's Brain, which was a work about this pre-capitalistic enterprise, the mine and the salt mine in Poland that was functioning. As it was functioning in the 15th century, but of course, like I positioned this research in a contemporary context, also of the new technologies and the development of basically the information age.
Yeah, I think we'll come to an end now, but I would just like to invite everybody who's listening to join us in the Q&A on Zoom. Just click on the link, which should be posted in the description of the video. And I would like to thank you very much already, Agnieszka.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And we'll see you in a second, I guess. And I think people are transferring.